The massive warship hung silently in the darkness of space, completely invisible to any watching eyes. Inside, Commander Gray of the Watcher species stood tall, his transparent form barely noticeable even to his own crew. Pride filled his chest as he looked at the blue planet through the ship's viewing screens. "Another primitive world," he said to his science officer, who was studying data streams from their long-range scanners. "Show me what we know about these humans." The science officer brought up detailed scans on the main screen. "They're still in early space development, Commander. They've only reached their own moon and sent basic robots to nearby planets. Their cities run on fossil fuels and basic atomic power. They haven't even discovered faster-than-light travel." Commander Gray moved closer to the screen, his naturally camouflaged body shifting like ripples in water. The Watchers had evolved this ability over millions of years, becoming the galaxy's perfect hunters. Their bodies could bend light around them, making them completely invisible to most species. 12 systems, Gray said softly. "We've conquered 12 star systems using our gift. None of them ever saw us coming." He turned to his tactical officer. "What about their weapons?" "Primitive projectile weapons, nuclear devices, and some basic energy weapons for their space programs. Nothing that could detect or harm our ships." The tactical officer's voice carried the same dismissive tone they'd used for all their previous conquests. Gray watched the planet rotating slowly below them. These humans built tall buildings, flew in basic aircraft, and spent most of their time staring at tiny electronic screens. They would never notice the fleet of invisible ships preparing to study their world. "Begin the standard invasion protocol," Gray ordered. "Send down scout teams. Study their military bases, power plants, and government centers. Remember, we are completely invisible to their primitive eyes. We can walk among them without any fear of detection." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had done this many times before. The Watchers were master conquerors because no one could fight what they couldn't see. Their light-bending abilities worked perfectly against organic eyes, and most species' basic sensors couldn't detect them either. "Commander," the science officer called out, "I'm detecting something interesting about their communication networks. They seem to have cameras everywhere. Far more than any other primitive species we've encountered." Gray waved his transparent hand dismissively. "Cameras see what eyes see, officer. Our camouflage works against all known visual detection methods. That's why we're the galaxy's apex predators." Down on Earth, the first scout teams were already emerging from their invisible dropships. They walked confidently through human cities, passing by adults and children who seemed completely unaware of their presence. The scouts recorded everything they saw, building detailed maps of Earth's infrastructure. Back on the command ship, Gray received the first reports from his ground teams. Everything was going perfectly according to plan. Just like the 12 other worlds they had conquered, humans would never know what hit them until it was too late. "Send in more scout teams," he ordered. "I want detailed scans of every major city within the next 30 days. Look for weaknesses in their power grids, communication systems, and military response capabilities." As Gray looked down at Earth, he felt the familiar satisfaction of a hunter watching unsuspecting prey. The humans continued their daily lives, completely unaware of the invisible fleet above their heads or the transparent scouts walking their streets. "Soon," he said to himself, "this will be the 13th system to fall to the Watchers. And just like all the others, they'll never see us coming." But Commander Gray had made a crucial mistake. In his pride, he had overlooked something fundamental about humans. Unlike the other species they had conquered, humans had learned not to trust their eyes alone. They had built machines to see what their limited organic vision could not. And in a small military radar station thousands of miles below, a dedicated operator named Tom was about to notice something very strange in the atmosphere above Earth. Tom sat in front of his radar screen at the Mountain Air Force Base, sipping his third cup of coffee. The midnight shift was usually quiet, but something had been bothering him for the past few hours. The radar was showing strange distortions, like ripples in the atmosphere that shouldn't be there. "Hey, Bill," he called to his supervisor. "Come take a look at this." Bill walked over, looking tired after 12 hours on shift. "What have you got?" "See these patterns." Tom pointed at several spots on the screen. "They're moving against the wind. I've never seen anything like it." Bill squinted at the screen and shook his head. "Probably just equipment problems. This system's been acting up all week. Write it in the log, and we'll get maintenance to check it tomorrow." But Tom couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He'd been watching radar screens for 15 years, and these movements were different. They were too regular, too purposeful. Before his shift ended, he made copies of the radar data and sent them to his old friend Dr. Anna Miller at the National Science Center. If anyone could make sense of these strange readings, it would be her. Dr. Miller was eating breakfast the next morning when Tom's email arrived. She almost choked on her toast when she saw the data. The patterns matched similar anomalies she'd been studying from weather stations around the world. "This can't be a coincidence," she muttered, quickly pulling up her own research files. For the past month, she'd been collecting reports of unusual atmospheric readings from different countries. When she added Tom's data to her map, a clear pattern emerged. She picked up her phone and called Tom. "Your radar ghosts," she said as soon as he answered. "When did you first notice them?" "About 3 weeks ago," Tom replied, fighting back a yawn after his long shift. "They're getting more frequent. Last night I counted 12 separate anomalies." "Tom, I need you to listen carefully," Dr. Miller said, her voice serious. "These aren't equipment malfunctions. I'm seeing the same patterns from stations all over the world. Whatever these things are, they're big, they're numerous, and they're moving with purpose." "You think they might be?" Tom hesitated. "Not from around here. I think," Dr. Miller chose her words carefully, "we need to look at this data using different methods. Can you send me thermal imaging scans from your station?" Over the next few days, Dr. Miller worked nonstop, analyzing data from multiple sources. The thermal imaging scans showed clear heat signatures where the radar anomalies appeared. Something was definitely there, something that could bend light but couldn't hide its heat. She called an emergency meeting with military officials and other scientists. In a secure conference room, she displayed her findings on a large screen. "Look at these heat patterns," she pointed to several images. "They show massive objects, some larger than our biggest aircraft carriers, moving in formation above our atmosphere. They're invisible to the naked eye, but our instruments can detect them." "If these are ships," one general asked, "why can't we see them?" "Because they're bending light around themselves," Dr. Miller explained, "like advanced camouflage. But they forgot something important. They might be invisible, but they still have mass, and they still generate heat. Our technology can detect both." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't alone in the universe, and their visitors were trying to hide from them. "What do we do?" someone finally asked. Dr. Miller smiled. "We keep watching them. They think they're invisible, and that's our advantage. They don't know we can see them, and while they're watching us, thinking we're blind to their presence, we'll be preparing." Back at his radar station, Tom kept tracking the anomalies, but now with renewed purpose. Every movement, every pattern was carefully recorded and sent to Dr. Miller's team. The invisible visitors had made a crucial mistake. They had underestimated human technology and human curiosity. And in orbit above Earth, Commander Gray and his watchers continued their surveillance, completely unaware that their perfect camouflage wasn't so perfect after all. Dr. Miller's laboratory had become a hub of activity. Screens covered the walls, each showing different types of data about the invisible visitors. She stood in the center of the room, watching as her team worked on various detection methods. "The thermal imaging is working well," she told the gathered military officials, "but we need more ways to track them. They might figure out we can detect their heat signatures." The general nodded. "What do you need?" "Everything," she replied. "Give me access to every type of sensor we have." radar, infrared, gravitational detectors, electromagnetic readers, the works. These aliens might be invisible to our eyes, but they can't hide from physics. Within days, observatories and military bases worldwide were quietly retasked to track the alien ships. Each facility used different methods, building a complete picture of the invisible fleet's movements. At a military research facility, Dr. Miller worked with weapons experts to modify heat-seeking missiles. "If we can track them," she explained, "we can target them. But we need to keep this quiet. Let them think their camouflage is still working." Above Earth, Commander Gray remained confident. He watched his scout team's reports with satisfaction, unaware of the humans' discovery. "These primitives are exactly as we expected," he told his officers. "They suspect nothing." But down on Earth, humans were doing what they did best, adapting and innovating. In a secure facility, engineers modified regular security cameras with special filters that could detect the slight distortions caused by the aliens' light-bending technology. "It's like looking for ripples in water," one engineer explained to Dr. Miller. "Their camouflage isn't perfect. It creates tiny disturbances in the air, too small for our eyes to see, but our computers can spot them." The breakthrough came when a young scientist noticed something unexpected. "Dr. Miller," he called out one morning, "look at this. Their cloaking technology doesn't work properly on digital cameras. The way they bend light, it creates artifacts in digital images, different from what our eyes see." Dr. Miller rushed to his computer. The images showed clear distortions where the aliens walked, invisible to human eyes, but obvious to digital sensors. "This is perfect," she said. "Almost everyone on Earth carries a phone with a digital camera. We can spot them everywhere." Military bases worldwide quietly upgraded their defense systems. They installed new sensors and modified their weapons, all while pretending to go about their normal routines. The aliens who walked invisibly through their facilities had no idea they were being watched. "The hardest part," Dr. Miller told her team, "is acting like we don't know they're here. Every security guard, every soldier has to pretend they can't see the aliens on their monitors." In cities across the world, special teams tracked the invisible visitors. They watched through modified cameras as alien scouts walked through streets, entered buildings, and studied human infrastructure. The aliens thought they were gathering intelligence in secret, but every move they made was recorded and analyzed. "They're mapping our power grids," one analyst reported, "looking for weak points." "Let them look," the general replied. "The more time they spend studying us, the more data we gather about them." Dr. Miller worked tirelessly, improving their detection methods. She knew they needed every advantage they could get. "The aliens evolved their camouflage naturally," she explained to her team. "But we evolved something better, the ability to build tools that go beyond our natural limitations." As weeks passed, Earth's defenders grew more confident. They had radar to track the ships, thermal cameras to spot their heat, gravitational sensors to measure their mass, and digital cameras to see their distortions. The invisible invaders were becoming very visible indeed. "When do we tell them we can see them?" a junior scientist asked Dr. Miller one day. She smiled. "Not yet. Let them think they have the advantage. The best time to reveal you can see the invisible is when they least expect it." In orbit, Commander Gray prepared his invasion plans, still believing his fleet was completely hidden from human detection. He had no idea that Earth's defenders were ready and waiting, preparing a welcome that would shatter his species' belief in their perfect camouflage. The shopping mall was busy on Saturday afternoon. Among the crowds of shoppers, two Watcher scouts walked confidently, completely invisible to the human eye. Or so they thought. Target 1 moving towards the food court, Target 2 heading to electronics, whispered Mike, the mall's head of security, into his radio. He watched the aliens on his modified security tablet, their shapes clear as day on the digital screen. Dr. Miller had made sure all major public spaces were equipped with the new detection systems. The aliens thought they were studying human behavior unnoticed, But every step they took was being carefully monitored. The first sign that something was wrong came when a small boy pointed his phone at one of the scouts to take a selfie. He looked at his screen and tugged his mother's sleeve. "Mom, there's something weird in my picture," he said loudly. Like a ghost. The Watcher scout froze. It was impossible. Their camouflage was perfect. The boy must have seen something else. But more phones were coming out now. Teenagers taking videos, parents snapping pictures of their kids, and in every digital image, the Watcher's presence created visible distortions. Up in orbit, Commander Gray received an urgent message from his ground teams. "Sir, something's wrong. The humans' imaging devices. They're showing our presence." "Impossible," Gray snapped. "Their primitive technology can't detect our camouflage. Run a full diagnostic on your systems." But back in the mall, things were getting worse for the scouts. Mike had been waiting for a moment like this. Following Dr. Miller's protocols, he approached the area where one of the aliens stood. "Excuse me," he said loudly, looking directly at the spot where his tablet showed the invisible visitor. "I'm going to have to ask you to come with me." The Watcher scout was stunned. The human was looking right at him. But that was impossible. Their species had evolved perfect invisibility over millions of years. "This is Scout Leader to command." The alien radioed urgently. "Our cover is compromised. The humans, they can detect us." Panic spread through the Watcher ranks. All across Earth, their scouts were facing similar situations. Children pointed at them in parks. Security cameras tracked them through buildings. Traffic cameras caught their distortions crossing streets. A group of teenagers at the mall were excitedly sharing their phone pictures on social media. "Look at this weird effect," one said. "It's like there's someone invisible standing there." The Watcher scouts retreated in confusion. Their entire mission was based on being undetectable, but somehow these primitive humans had found a way to see them. Commander Gray paced on his bridge, receiving more and more disturbing reports. "How?" he demanded. "How can they see us?" Dr. Miller watched the events unfold from her command center. "They're running," she told the general. "Their perfect hunting strategy just failed, and they don't know how to handle it." The scene at the mall reached its peak when Mike finally cornered one of the scouts near the emergency exit. Looking at his tablet screen, he spoke calmly but firmly. "We've known about you for weeks," he said. "Your invisibility doesn't work on our cameras. Did you really think we wouldn't notice massive ships appearing on our thermal sensors, or strange gravitational readings in our orbit?" The Watcher scout flickered into visibility, its natural camouflage failing from shock. Gasps erupted from nearby shoppers as they saw the alien for the first time. "How?" the scout began. "How did you?" "Human ingenuity," Mike replied simply. "We may not have evolved natural camouflage, but we built something better, technology that lets us see what our eyes can't." All across Earth, similar scenes played out. The Watcher's perfect plan had fallen apart. Their scouts retreated in chaos, their invisibility advantage lost. In orbit, Commander Gray faced a harsh reality. Not only had the humans detected them, but they had also been watching and preparing all along. His species' greatest strength had been defeated by human technology and innovation. The hunters had become the hunted, and now they had to face the consequences of underestimating humanity. Commander Gray stood rigid on his bridge, watching chaos unfold on the main screen. Reports flooded in from his scattered scout teams, all saying the same thing. The humans had been tracking them from the start. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "we're detecting energy signatures. The humans are powering up weapons systems worldwide." Suddenly, targeting locks appeared on every Watcher ship in orbit, hundreds of them, coming from previously hidden defense platforms and ground-based weapons systems. The humans had disguised their military capabilities just as effectively as the Watchers had tried to hide their presence. "Impossible," Gray whispered, but the evidence was clear on his screens. His mighty invisible fleet was now lit up like stars in the night, each ship marked by multiple human targeting systems. Dr. Miller stood in the United Earth Defense Command Center, watching the alien fleet's positions on the main display. "Send the message," she ordered. "All frequencies, all languages we've decoded from their communications." The message was simple. "To the Watcher fleet in Earth orbit, we have been aware of your presence for the past 2 months. Your ships are currently targeted by our defense systems. We invite your commander to land at these coordinates for peaceful discussions. If you choose not to accept, be aware that we can track and engage every ship in your fleet." On his ship, Gray received the message. His officers looked at him in shock. The supposedly primitive humans had not only detected them, but had also cracked their communication codes. "Commander," his science officer said quietly, "scans show their weapons are powered by the same atomic technology they use in their cities. They're crude, but there are enough of them to destroy our entire fleet." Gray thought quickly. In all their previous conquests, the Watchers had relied on surprise and invisibility. No species had ever detected them before an attack, let alone prepared countermeasures. "Send our response," he finally ordered. "We will meet." The landing site was a military base in a desert region. Gray's shuttle, now visible to avoid any misunderstandings, descended slowly. Human aircraft escorted it, their weapon systems clearly tracking the alien ship the entire time. Dr. Miller waited with military leaders as the shuttle landed. When Gray emerged, he saw something that shocked him even more. Every human present was wearing special glasses that let them see through Watcher camouflage completely. "Welcome to Earth," Dr. Miller said. "We've been expecting you." "How?" Gray asked. "How did you detect us?" "Simple," she replied. "You evolved to be invisible to organic eyes. But humans, we built machines to see things our eyes can't. Thermal cameras, gravitational sensors, digital imaging systems. We have thousands of ways to detect what we can't naturally see." She gestured to a nearby screen showing feeds from around the world. "Right now, we can track every one of your ships and scouts. Your perfect camouflage isn't so perfect against human technology." Gray's confidence, built over years of successful conquests, crumbled. "In 12 systems," he said, "no one ever saw us coming." "That was their mistake," a general added. "They relied only on what they could see. We humans learned long ago not to trust our eyes alone." Dr. Miller stepped forward. "We're prepared to defend ourselves if necessary, but we're also prepared to talk. Your species has mastered biological camouflage. We've mastered technology. Perhaps there's something we can learn from each other." Gray looked around at the assembled humans. Their weapons were ready, their systems were tracking his fleet, but they were offering peace instead of attacking. It was not what he had expected from a primitive species. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have underestimated humanity." "Many have made that mistake." Dr. Miller smiled. "Most learn better. The question is, Commander Gray, what will you learn from this?" As the sun set over the desert base, humans and Watchers began their first official diplomatic meeting. The hunters had become partners, and a new chapter in both species' history was about to begin. 2 weeks after the first diplomatic meeting, Dr. Miller stood in a large conference room at the International Science Center. The room was filled with an unusual mix of human scientists and Watcher experts, all gathered around a large display table. "Let me show you how we first detected your ships," Dr. Miller said, bringing up several images on the screen. The Watchers, now choosing to remain visible, leaned forward with interest. Commander Gray stood next to her, watching as she displayed different types of scans. "Your invisibility is perfect against normal human vision," she explained. "But look what happens on our thermal cameras." The screen showed bright heat signatures where the Watcher ships hung in orbit. "You can bend light," she continued, "but you can't hide heat. That was our first clue." A Watcher scientist named Red, they had chosen simple color names to help humans identify them, stepped forward. "But how did you detect our ground team so easily? Our camouflage should have been perfect at close range." Dr. Miller smiled and pulled out a smartphone. "This was actually your biggest weakness. Digital cameras see light differently than organic eyes. Your light-bending technology created distortions that showed up clearly in digital images. She showed them a series of photos taken from the mall incident. In each one, the Watcher Scouts appeared as visible distortions, like ripples in the air. Remarkable, Red said. We never considered that artificial imaging systems would see us differently. In all our previous encounters, we only worried about organic eyes. The human scientists brought out more devices, infrared sensors, gravitational detectors, and specialized cameras. Each one showed different ways of detecting the supposedly invisible aliens. We humans learned a long time ago that our eyes only show us a tiny part of reality, Dr. Miller explained. That's why we built machines to see what we can't. X-rays, radar, infrared, ultraviolet. Your camouflage might fool our eyes, but it can't hide you from all our technologies at once. Commander Gray nodded thoughtfully. In our pride, we assumed that because we could fool organic eyes, we were truly invisible. We never imagined a species would develop so many different ways of seeing. The meeting continued as both sides shared their knowledge. The Watchers explained how their light-bending abilities worked, while humans demonstrated their various detection technologies. Look at this, a human scientist said, showing a detailed scan of a Watcher's biology. Your cells naturally bend light around them. It's incredible. We might be able to use this to develop better camouflage technology. Red examined the human devices with fascination. And these phones. Billions of humans carry these advanced sensors everywhere they go. No wonder our scouts were detected so quickly. Dr. Miller brought up another display. We've also been studying the energy signatures from your ships, the way you bend light around such large objects. The physics involved is fascinating. As the day went on, both species found they had much to learn from each other. The Watchers' natural abilities combined with human technology opened up new possibilities neither side had imagined before. You know, Commander Gray said to Dr. Miller during a break, we came here thinking we would find primitive beings who would be easy to conquer. Instead, we found a species that turned our greatest strength into a weakness. Dr. Miller nodded. That's the thing about humans. We know we're not the strongest or fastest. We can't naturally fly or bend light. But we learn, we adapt, and we build tools to overcome our limitations. A young human scientist rushed up to them, excited. Dr. Miller, we'd figured out how to modify our satellite networks to track Watcher-style camouflage across the entire planet. No one using this kind of light-bending technology could hide from us now. Commander Gray laughed, surprising himself. You humans never stop improving, do you? Nope. Dr. Miller replied with a smile. That's kind of our thing. Now let's see what else we can learn from each other. As the sun set outside, humans and Watchers continued working together, each discovering that they had found not an enemy, but a teacher. 6 months after first contact, the Earth's orbit looked very different. Watcher ships now floated visibly alongside human space stations, their previous need for hiding long forgotten. Commander Gray stood on his flagship's bridge, watching a joint human-Watcher defense exercise. Launch the test target, he ordered. A small drone, using copied Watcher camouflage technology, shot out into space. Within seconds, both human sensors and Watcher ships tracked its position perfectly. Target locked, came the response from Earth's Defense Command. Dr. Miller's voice crackled over the radio. Nothing can hide from us now, Commander. The alliance between humans and Watchers had grown stronger each day. Humans had learned to create new types of camouflage technology, while the Watchers had adopted human detection systems. Together, they had become an unbeatable team. Incoming message from the Border Patrol. An officer reported, 3 ships from the Razor Empire just entered our solar system. They're using stealth technology. Gray smiled. The Razors were old enemies of the Watchers, known for stealing technology from other species. They probably thought they could sneak into human space undetected. Should we reveal ourselves? Gray asked Dr. Miller, who was coordinating from Earth. "Let's teach them a lesson about underestimating Earth's defenses," she replied. The Razor ships moved quietly toward Earth, thinking their stolen stealth systems made them invisible. They didn't know that Earth's defense grid could track them perfectly. Suddenly, dozens of hidden human defense platforms activated. At the same time, 5 Watcher ships appeared around the intruders. The Razor ships found themselves surrounded, with weapons locked on them from all directions. "Attention Razor vessels," Dr. Miller's voice boomed across space. "You have entered Earth Watcher Alliance space. We can see you clearly. Power down your engines and prepare to be escorted out of our system." The shock was clear in the Razor captain's response. "Impossible. Our stealth systems are perfect. How can you see us?" Commander Gray joined the conversation. "The humans taught us that perfect stealth doesn't exist. There's always a way to detect something if you're clever enough to find it. Now, will you leave peacefully, or do we need to demonstrate our other capabilities?" The Razor ships retreated quickly. Word spread fast across the galaxy. Earth was not a target to be taken lightly. The combined strength of human technology and Watcher abilities made their space one of the most secure in the known universe. Back on Earth, in the Joint Command Center, Dr. Miller showed Gray their latest project. "We've adapted your light-bending technology to work with our satellite network," she explained. "We can now create protected zones where nothing can hide from us, not even using your species' natural camouflage. And our ships now carry human detection systems." Gray added, "No other species has this combination of abilities. Together, we can see everything but choose when to be seen." A junior human officer rushed in with news. "The Razor Empire just sent a message. They want to discuss a peace treaty. Apparently, our reputation has made them nervous." Dr. Miller and Commander Gray shared a knowing look. Their alliance had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Other species were learning that it was better to be friends with Earth than enemies. "You know," Gray said, "when we first came to Earth, we thought we were the perfect hunters. But you humans taught us something important. True strength isn't about being naturally powerful. It's about learning, adapting, and working together. And you taught us that there's always more to discover," Dr. Miller replied. "Even when we think we understand something completely, there might be a whole new way of looking at it." As they watched the sun set through the command center's windows, both human and Watcher reflected on how much had changed. What had started as an invasion had become the strongest alliance in known space. The invisible hunters had become visible friends, and together they were ready for whatever the galaxy might throw at them next. "So," Dr. Miller asked with a smile, "ready to show the rest of the universe what humans and Watchers can do together?" "Always," Commander Gray replied. "After all, the best surprises are the ones everyone can see coming."